Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
At that time Jesus exclaimed, I give praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, for although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to little ones. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. The Gospel of the Lord. Good morning. Before we get into the Gospel, I want to just explain very briefly one word from our Gospel that I think needs a little understanding. That word is not very familiar to us. The word is yoke. We're not talking about eggs. The yoke was a wooden platform that was put around a person's neck and rested on their shoulders. And it was on this platform that people in those days carried things. They put jugs of water, they put baskets, whatever it is they wanted to carry, they put on this yoke, this platform. So that is what Jesus is talking about in today's Gospel. Now Jesus said, come to me, all you who are labored and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and you will find that my yoke is easy and my burden light. What does Jesus mean? Is Jesus saying that it is easy to follow him? Easy compared to what? Easy compared to the yoke of the Pharisees. Those religious leaders placed over 600 laws on the Jewish people. Now that was a heavy burden, a heavy yoke, to be sure. And Jesus condemned them for doing that. He said, you place heavy burdens on people's shoulders and do not lift a finger to lighten them. So compared to the yoke of the Pharisees, Jesus' yoke is easy. I think Jesus is speaking to all of us today who, for whatever reason, finds our religion to be heavy, to be burdensome, tedious. If we have made obedience to the commandments, obedience to the laws, the very heart of our religion, I think Jesus is saying, no, don't do that. Sure, we have 10 commandments. Thank God we have them. The 10 commandments were not given to us to take all the fun out of life. We know from our own experience that when we follow the 10 commandments, it leads to our joy and our peace. When we disobey the 10 commandments, it brings us to sorrow, to confusion, and regret. And the church certainly has its laws, we know that. Every church, every society, every organization has the right to make laws for its members. We don't question that. But law in a group, law is like the skeleton of a body. It's needed, it holds everything together, but it is not the flesh and blood and heart of the body. Jesus was a law-abiding Jew, but he did not idolize the law, make it the last word. I think Jesus wants us to be law-abiding people, but not to idolize law and make it the last word. You know, all of us older Catholics are legalistic to one extent or another. You agree with that? That's the way we were raised. We were raised that way. You know, legalistic to one extent. For example, someone comes to confession and says, I missed Mass last Sunday, but my mother was sick and I had to take care of her. I think Jesus would say to that person, wonderful, you did the right thing. Stay home and take care of your mother, because that human need takes precedence over the Sunday obligation. Some time ago, I have a brother who's a very devout Catholic and a great guy. And he called me some time ago and he said, I'm going to a wedding next Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And I want to know, will that satisfy my Sunday obligation? I'm telling you a true story. And I said to my brother, I said, you have asked me a legal question. Do you want a legal answer? Well, he paused for a little while. But finally he said, yeah, I want a legal answer. I said, okay. The legal answer is no. It does not satisfy your Sunday obligation. But I went on to say, I hope you don't go to Mass because you have to, but because you want to. And I know he does. I think Jesus is saying to us today, respect the law, but please, keep in mind, you can technically observe all the laws in the world and still not be my follower. I'm asking you for more. I'm asking you for your heart. I'm asking you to love me with your whole heart and to love each other with your whole heart. That is what I am asking, and if we do that, our yoke will be easy. Whose yoke are we carrying?